Welcome to Real Judaism with Rabbi Klapper. Unfiltered wisdom for Jewish life.
Be'ezras Hashem, we are back here in Parakeh, Mandaf Kuf Tzadi Aleph at the bottom of his base. Just a quick review of what we did last week. Just to get those caught up. It's my fault. I didn't send out the recording last week. Yeah, we discussed last week about how Shabbos has things that are double, right? Zachar v'shamor, mechaleh mois yumos. It has oinig and kavod. It has a lot of these doubles. So what's doubles? A double is a zug, a pair. So we discussed how Shabbos, the Midrash says, was looking for a pair. Shabbos was looking for a partner. The first day, based on the way he explained the Goyin, every day has a pair. What's the pair based on? It's based on bringing out the potential. The first 3 days were creating the potential, and the last 3 days, or the next 3 days, I should say, are bringing out the potential. So the first day was Shemayim Haaretz, and bringing out that potential were all the cosmos, the sun, the moon, the stars. The second day was the split between the water and the sky. So we bring in that lamaisa with life, fish, and birds on day 5. And the third day was the land, and its pair was bringing that to fruition was day 6. The animals, the life on the land, man. What's day 7? Day 7 doesn't have a pair. So the Midrash says that Shabbos Kodesh came to Rabbi Shalom and says, everybody has a zug. Everybody has a partner except for me. Who's my partner? And Hashem said, Klal Yisrael is going to be your partner. That's really what we left off. The Klal Yisrael is the partner of Shabbos. Now we're here in Oiz Beis. V'nei l'choira yesh kan ktsas stira. We have a bit of a contradiction over here. The harei kol iker yisoid ha-Shabbos u'ma shehi yom hashvi midas ha-malchus. The whole foundation of what Shabbos is, that it is the 7th, the number 7, which we said, the 7th midah, which is the midah of malchus, which means bringing things to the ma'isa. We spent a lot of time discussing how the midah of malchus is actually the lamaisa. That's what it is. It's not the potential. It is the actual. Shabbos is the actual. Shabbos is bringing the midas of Hashem to actuality. That is what malchus is. Malchus is when we take all the potential that's out there and we put it together in a way that we bring out all of that potential. That's what malchus does. So if Shabbos is malchus, then Shabbos already is bringing out everything. So then where is the potential leading to the actual? It already is the actual. Shabbos is already actualizing the kedusha of Hashem in this world. Shabbos is already accepting and making it real. This is what we discussed last week also. The bechina of zachar and nekeivah is zachar is the one that's giving, and nekeivah is the one that's accepting and making into something. So it sounds like Shabbos already has that hagdara. Shabbos is in the parameters of the nekeivah of accepting and making real. So then it already has a partner. Who's Shabbos' partner? Hashem. Hashem is the one who sends the shefa down, and he sends it down through Shabbos. Like we say every week, it's the gateway that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends shefa into this world. So Shabbos is already the acceptor and the one that makes it real. And who is Shabbos' partner? Hashem. So then how does it make sense? The whole Midrash makes sense. I don't say what Shabbos is saying, complaining as the partner. Shabbos has the best partner. And complaining you don't have a partner? What's going on over here? That's why in many places, Shabbos has that lush is called nekeivah. We call it Shabbos Malka, right? The Shabbos queen. The nikras kala, boi kala. We're saying, welcome the Shabbos in, and we call it boi kala in the feminine. The kala is coming. Al shem shehagoli bepoyel shal yichud haborei. Because now we're taking all of that kedusha that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has and we're bringing it into the world, l'maaseh. So why is Shabbos looking for a partner? Hari adrabah, he atma habat zug shel yichud Hashem yisbarach ba'olam. Shabbos already has a partner. Shabbos is the partner to Hashem. Now, obviously, Hashem doesn't need a partner, right? That's obviously not necessary. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world in a way where he hides himself, but he sends down Shefa. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created a world in order to be makabel his Shefa, which is why, even though HaKadosh Baruch Hu is neither man nor woman, but we usually refer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the lashon of zachar, because he's the ultimate giver. And the bechina of zachar is the bechina of giving. That's why we refer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu usually in the masculine. Therefore, again, this is our question. What Shabbos need a partner for if he already has a partner? Avala emesi, we're in the top of Kuf Tzadi Beis. Avala emesi sheshnei ha'inyanim nechoinim. Both things are true, right? You're right and you're right. You're both right. How's that possible? V'rak shemitchalpim lekanu lekan. It's just that it flips back and forth. What does that mean? Hinei ledugma. Let's give an example. Ha'em b'mishpocha. The mother in a family. Iker shem ha'em hu mipnei shemekabeles mibala. V'alkein nikra nekeivah b'kol makom. The mother is called the mother, and it's called a nekeivah because with regards to the relationship to her husband, she is the bechina of nekeivah, of accepting. Sharehi bechinas makabel. She's the makabel. That's why she's referred to as the nekeivah. Aval keneged zeh klapi haben hi kula mashpia. But with regard to her son or her children, she is constantly giving. You know, I saw this video. They made there's one that's a secular one, the goyim made, but there's one with Yiddish people also about this job interview. There's this guy, they put out an ad for a job interview, and they're having these Zoom interviews for this job, and the guy is describing the job. Okay, the job is 132 hours a week. You have to be standing on your feet the entire time. There are no breaks. What, you don't get to eat? You get to eat, but only after everybody else does. You have to be fluent. You have to be able to be intuitive to everything. You have to be an expert in psychology. You need to be sensitive. You need to have a degree in the culinary arts. You need wow, and how much does this job pay? Nothing. You get nothing for it. It's for free. So everyone's like, who would take such a job? Why would you take such a job like that? That's absolute insanity. Who would work such a thing, like such a way? So the guy said, would you believe? There are billions of people that have this job. What? Yeah, they're called mothers. They're called mothers. And they hit every single one of these criteria. A wife, a mother, is a mashpia. She's giving all the time. So if she's giving all the time, so why is she the bechina of nekeivah, of accepting? Why is she not the bechina of giving? So that's what he says over here. Nimsa shelo umas bala inikra nekeivah, lu umas bana nikra zachar. With regards to her husband, she's accepting from her husband. But with regards to her children, she's giving to her children. So she's going both directions. She's an acceptor and a giver. Both. She's constantly giving to her family what she received from her husband. Al Abba Mishbacha Omru Chazal. The Gemara in Chulin says about the father, Shein Tluyin Bo, V'hu Tali B'Misha Amar V'Haya Olam. It says about the father that the family is dependent on the father, and the father is dependent on Hashem. Hainu sheklapi maila nikra nekeivah hamekabelet, uklapi ishu bonav zachar hamashpia. So the father is also called by both of these lashonos. The father, on the one hand, is the giver when it comes to his wife and his children, and he's the acceptor with regards to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So just like a wife has both bechinas, so too a husband, a father, has both as well. He's both a receiver and a giver. Same thing with the moon. nekeivah. The moon is usually referred to in the feminine. Because the moon does not have anything on of its own to give. It is constantly accepting the light from the sun. Yes, it's true, she's getting the light. The moon is getting the light from the sun, but it's not for the moon itself. That's not the point. The moon gets it from the sun so that the moon will have it. The whole point is that the moon will get the light from the sun in order to give it here to us in this world. So the moon also is accepting and then giving what it accepted. The Gadel Azroim. For example, one of the aspects of the light of the moon is that it helps plants grow, crops grow, and it does other things. We know that the moon controls the tide, but even the light of the moon has an effect on what's going on in this world. It provides light, but it has other effects that it has in this world too. So that light is also being given. So the moon is on the one hand an acceptor, on the other hand it's a giver. V'lachein shaper biksha Shabbos kodesh bazug. So now we can understand why Shabbos wanted a partner. Even though the Shabbos itself is receiving from Hashem. So, oh, you mean Hashem's my partner? Just like all the other days of the week, all of them got from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but they're still partners. All of them received from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but they're still a koyach and a bepoil, a potential and an actualization. Even the potential was given to was given by HaKadosh Baruch Hu to the days. But the days still need to actualize that. The world was created in a way where the potential was created, and now the potential needs to be actualized. So there was another day. The Shefa was given to days 1, 2, and 3, and they're actualized in days 4, 5, and 6. But where does it come from? They all come from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So even days 1, 2, and 3 got from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Gam Shabbos Kodesh hi beikra mekabelis milamala es kedushas Hashem Yisbarach. Same thing with Shabbos. The only difference, or it's a major difference, but the difference between Shabbos and the other days is that the other days be'etzam are gashmi. They're physical. The 6 days of the week are physical. The spark of life, the kedusha that there is in the world comes through Shabbos. So since it comes through Shabbos, so Shabbos needs that also. Shabbos is getting a huge potential, a bigger potential than everything else in the rest of the week. Then all the other 6 days, all the other 6 days are physical. Shabbos is getting the kedusha. Okay, but how am I going to actualize that? All the other days have partners to actualize it. I need to actualize that kedusha too. I'm getting it. I'm getting it straight from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But how am I going to make it? How are we going to bring it down into this world and make it real? So really, this parak actually kind of like is connected way back to the first chelek of the Sefer, which is what is Malchus? Even the Shabbos of Malchus needs somebody or somebodies to bring it out, to bring that kedusha out. How can that potential that you're giving me, says Shabbos, how can I bring that out? Who's going to be my partner to bring that out? And that's where the answer is. Sha'al Yedei Am Yisrael. Through Klal Yisrael, Tuchol Shabbos Kodesh Lashbia Birchosea Shekibla Milamala Halacha Lamaisa. To bring it out in reality, to bring it out to the actual Kedusha of Shabbos, that's our responsibility. That's the responsibility of Klal Yisrael. Shabbos has all that potential and he wants to give it to us. We have to be ready to accept it. We have to be ready to make it real. We're the ones who have to bring that Kedusha into Shabbos. right? This is what we discussed, not last week, but in the previous parak of not getting angry on Shabbos and thinking about Shabbos. That's how we're actualizing it. That's how we're bringing Shabbos out, by remembering Shabbos, Shabbos, Shabbos. Remember it's Shabbos. Walking to shul, remember it's Shabbos. At least during Shemona Esrei, we should remember it's Shabbos. Remember it's Shabbos. Don't get angry. It's a challenge. For sure it's a challenge. For sure it's a challenge. But every week we do a little bit more. We try a little bit harder. It gets a little bit easier. It does. Just don't give up. A little bit. Right? Before I had kids, I thought I was a calm person. Before, I thought I was very patient. I thought I would never get angry, right? Then you have kids. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created in a way, and he made a zachar also, that your kids know exactly what buttons to push. They know. What can I possibly do to get my father angry? If that doesn't work, then I'll go a little bit more. And a little bit more. It's a challenge. But I need to bring out that Kedusha. I need to hold strong. Oh, what are you supposed to do, Lamaisa? Sometimes you have to be creative. I don't know. And every situation is a little bit different, right? And sometimes we do make mistakes, and we fail the challenge. Doesn't mean we shouldn't get back up and try again. But we have to actualize that Kedusha. We've got to bring that Kedusha in. That's our job. We're the partners with Shabbos. Ois Gimel. Now we can ask a question. How then does something get a name of zachar or nekeivah? So wait a second. So basically we just said father, zachar nekeivah. Mother, zachar nekeivah. Moon, zachar nekeivah. So everything is zachar nekeivah. Because everything got from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and everything, or to some degree, has a toeles, right? So what's Shabbos? Shabbos is a nekeivah. It's called nekeivah, but it's also giving. It's giving to Klal Yisrael. So Shabbos needed a zug to actualize. So that means Shabbos is acting as the zachar. So why are we calling it Shabbos Kala? How about tshuva? The answer to this question is Hadavar nikva al pi ikar mekoimon. Your essence, what you are you the giver or are you the acceptor, is dependent on your place. Where are you? The mashal, halavana, the moon. Hanikras nekeivah, the moon is referred in the feminine. Hare klapi haaretz hi zachar mashbiah. What do you mean? Why is it feminine? Doesn't it give to the earth? If it's giving to the earth, then it should be called zachar. So why is it called by the feminine, by nekeivah? Why is it called nekeivah? Elasiba, the reason is because where's its place? Its place is not here on this world. Its place is up in Shamayim. Nikris al Shem Kabbalas min Hashemesh. Therefore, it's called based on what's going on there in Shamayim. Because it's in Shamayim, so it goes based on what's going on in Shamayim. And in Shamayim, it's a receiver. With regards to here on earth, it's the giver. But it's not here on earth. It's there in Shamayim. And since it's there in Shamayim, we're going to call it based on where it is. There, it's an acceptor. And the same thing with a mother in this world. Even though with regards to her son or children, she's always giving. But we're not going to call her a zachar. We're not going to call her by the masculine. She's not a partner with the son. Who's she partnering with? She's partnering with her husband, with the father. He really I used it in a way that wasn't literal. He's saying bas doyer means in the same generation, right? And it's a reference to the same thing that every generation is supposed to be giving to the next generation, right? That's our Messiah. You're supposed to be giving over to the next generation. That's how Torah Judaism works. We have to trust the previous generation, and previous generation trusts the generation before that, and all the way back, not all the way back to Moshe Rabbeinu, all the way back to Avraham Avinu. Even though the Mishnah says in Avos, Moshe Kibel Torah Misinai, which means the Mashmos is that Kabbalah Torah was the beginning of the Jewish people, which to a certain degree it is, right? Because we didn't have the Torah, even if some mitzvahs were being kept before that, we didn't actually have the Torah until Moshe took it from HaKadosh Baruch Hu on Har Sinai and brought it down for Klal Yisrael. So therefore, the Messiah of the Torah certainly stems from there. But the Messiah of what Messiah is actually stems from Avram and Yitzchak. The idea that you have to accept from the previous generation and then take it to the next generation was mechadish by Yitzchak Avinu. Avram Avinu was a Ba Mechadish. Avram Avinu, based on the Gemara Nedarim, was a ger. He converted himself into a new religion, a religion that didn't exist before Avram Avinu came into this world. He was a Ba Mechadish. Chidushim. Wow, HaKadosh Baruch Hu cares about me and he wants me to serve him, and what I do makes a difference, and there's actually things that I have to do. Avram Avinu was Mechadish. What was Yitzchak Avinu? Yitzchak Avinu was the first Baal Messiah. He wasn't the Baal Mechadish. He took what his father said and he held on to it and he gave it over to the next generation. Ad Kedei Kach, that when his father said, Yitzchak, I got a nevuah that you're supposed to be a korban to Hashem, Yitzchak Avinu did not say, Dad, you lost it. Your religion was great and I was all for it, but this is already too far. You can't do that. I don't accept what you have to say. Yitzchak Avinu did not say that. Yitzchak Avinu said, Dad, I trust you. And I know you would never do anything that's not l'shem shamayim. And I know you're doing it because you're a Navi and Hashem told you, and I accept. And therefore, tie me very, very tight because I don't want to flinch. I don't want to flinch. Chas v'shalom, I should make a pagam and I'm not going to be roy to be a karba. Tie me very, very tight. That was the ultimate Kabbalah. And that put the root of Messiah into Klal Yisrael. Yes, we didn't get the Torah itself until Moshe Rabbeinu, the acceptance of the Torah. But that acceptance, that ability to transfer our Messiah from one generation to the next generation already goes back way before. L'maaseh, every generation has a responsibility to give it to the next generation. And therefore, the partnership is in your generation. So therefore, there's no partnership between a mother and a son. The mother is supposed to be giving over to the son, not partnering with the son. She's in the same generation as her husband. They're the partners. And they are going to be giving to their son. But with regards to each other, the husband is the giver and the wife is the acceptor. And therefore, in her place, she's the nekeivah. And that's why she was referred to in the feminine. Since she's in the same generation as her husband, as the father, she is called the feminine, the nekeivah, with regards to the father. Therefore, you judge a zachar and nekeivah based on where you are. Same thing with regard to Shabbos. Mitzad echad, he hamashpia hagadol be'olamenu. Shabbos is the makor bracha. Shabbos is the mashpia. Shabbos is giving. Even the rest of all the other 6 days are still getting life from Shabbos. Right? In a different sefer, the Pinkus talks about. So the sefer is called Brechos Becheshbon. It's not as well known sefer as Shabbos Malkasa or Shar Mitzvila that he wrote, or the Sichot. It's one of the earliest svarim, I believe, that he wrote, Brechos Becheshbon, and there he has different topics, but one of the main topics in the sefer is he darshans the piyut that we sing every year on Pesach, Echad Miodea. And he explains why the essence of one is Hashem. The essence of two is the luchos. What is it? How does that represent what the number two represents? So when you get to number seven is Shiva Yemei Shabbos, the 7 days of the week. And he explains, builds off number 6. What is 6? 6 is Gashmias. What is represented by 6? The Shishe Sidrei Mishnah. Because the Shisha Sidra Mishnah teach us how to live in this world. How do you live? You need to know halacha. You need to know how to live. What's the basis of that? The Shisha Sidra Mishnah. But that's 6. 6 is the Gashmias of this world. What's 7? 7 is with an neshama. 6 means there are 6 directions: north, east, south, west, up and down. A cube represents the 6 directions. What's 7? 7 is the pnimius. 7 is the soul that gives it life. All of life comes through Shabbos. That's why he says, the life of the other 6 days come through Shabbos. That is the spring, the natural spring that's giving life to everything, that's giving goodness, it's giving shefa. That's why Shabbos is looking for a partner. Shabbos wants to give. Who am I giving to? I need somebody to give it to. All that kedusha, who's going to bring that kedusha out? Yes, I can give life to all the 6 days of the week, but who's taking the kedusha? Who's bringing that kedusha to life? Who's making that kedusha real in this world? If that's true, if Shabbos is such a giver like that, the makor habracha, why is it referred to as nekeivah? Do you know where? Why? Because Shabbos, the ikar place of Shabbos is not here in this world. The ikar place of Shabbos is in Shamayim. It's disconnected from this world. Shabbos is in a different place. Shabbos is way above. Shabbos is way above. And because Shabbos is way above, we have to refer to it in the nekeivah. Because Shabbos' place is with Hashem. And with Hashem, he's a makabel. Shabbos is a makabel. And that's what he ends off with. Shabbos is getting that kedusha, the yichud of Hashem. That's why nikra be'ikar kala klula. That's why it's called a kala. That's why it's called in the feminine. Because Shabbos, its place is with Hashem. So you see that what we're getting is coming directly straight from Hashem. Shabbos is taking from Hashem and giving to us. Okay, we'll go stop over here. Shkoach.
Thank you for joining Real Judaism, where we explore Torah's wisdom for real life. Created by J Foundations and produced by Eli Podcast Productions. Find more episodes at realjudaism.org and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.